Hi there, I'm Alex and I'm the author of the Transgender blog. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about how being transgender relates to my life as an eclectic druid. Initially, I came into paganism via a Wiccan coven, but I soon found myself leaning more towards Druidry. As I studied my chosen paths, I found that none of them entirely fitted with what I felt was the path along which magic was leading me, but that they all had some merit and some things which resonated with me, while others didn't necessarily fit my own worldview. So I decided that I would continue to study, but that I would leave the coven and work as a solitary practitioner, as this allowed a much less rigid set of rules from which to work, and also allowed me to be more flexible in my practices. Recently I came out as transgender and started my journey of transitioning from the female body I was born in towards the male body which better expresses my internal landscape. As yet, it's very early days for me and there's a long road ahead. It could take up to 10 years to complete that process from start to finish, and I'm currently in the very earliest stages of that journey. Realising that I was trans was kind of hard. I'd always felt like the body that I live in wasn't quite me. It never quite fitted with the way that I felt about things and the way that I felt connected. And I experienced an awful lot of dysphoria, which basically it means that I don't feel like the body I inhabit actually is mine. It doesn't relate to me. I very much dislike seeing myself naked, for example, as it just feels really uncomfortable and horrible, and nothing feels quite right about it. And so I decided that it was time to live a bit more authentically and start presenting male in public in order to try and express that inner landscape, but on an external level, to be a bit more authentic in who I am, really. Choosing to share the news of my being transgender with my pagan family was a really difficult decision, because in modern paganism, trans folk have been subjected to exclusion from circles and covens and groups, and quite forcibly so. Most noticeably was at Pantheacon in the States back in 2011, where a lady called Z Budapest refused to let any of the trans women enter her ritual circle, because in Dianic Wicca it's only people who are born female that are actually allowed in circle. And that kind of transphobia has been spreading towards the UK a bit now as well, which it means that everything's just a little bit awkward, and you're not quite sure how people will take it. But obviously, working as a solitary, it wasn't quite so difficult for me, because I knew that I wouldn't be ejected from any kind of group that I was in, because I wasn't in a group at the time, which was quite lucky, really. It's led to a lot of trans folk, just as I did, choosing more diverse, solitary or eclectic paths in order to feel comfortable in expressing their spirituality. I've been lucky. As yet, I've received nothing but support and love from my pagan family. I recently decided that as I was starting a new life journey, it would be a good idea to do a personal ritual of intent and check in with my personal deities, just to say hi and this is what's going on, here's what I'm aiming to do, and any guidance is appreciated, really. In doing this, I felt it was particularly important to honour my past life experiences, as up to this point I've just lost where I was, sorry. I have extensive notes. Guidance is appreciated. In doing this, I felt it was particularly important to honour my life experiences up to this point, because even with the decision to change my physical gender to match the one that I feel I am, those experiences and that knowledge is still very much relevant and useful, and therefore it should be honoured. There are a number of things to consider when you're working with a transgender person, and especially in ritual where words and intent are very important. It's important to remember that although they're all walking a similar path in terms of their transitioning destination, they'll all have a very vastly differing journey on the way to getting there, and will make different choices in what feels right or needful to bring them to being at peace within themselves. For some trans men, this involves medical interventions such as phalloplasty or bottom surgery, mastectomy, also known as top surgery. Some also choose to take hormones, namely testosterone, which helps with changing your voice and other physical changes which give you a more male appearance. Others choose not to have any of that. They choose to just present as male or do whatever feels right for them, really. And it's vitally important to remember that every single one of those decisions is equally valid and it should be respected. Those, they're personal decisions. You can't just be like, oh, you're not a real trans man because you didn't choose to have a phalloplasty or whatever. You just can't. That's not how it works, If you got a group of 10 different trans men and said, what would make you feel authentically yourself, what would make you feel more comfortable, you'll get 10 different answers, and that's absolutely fine and absolutely cool, but it's remembering to respect and honour that all of those decisions are very, very individual things. As a trans person, the words that we use are really important. Personally, I choose to be known by male pronouns, which are he, his and Alex, but some people choose to use gender-neutral pronouns, and it's always best to check if you're not sure, because most people are really not that worried about answering a question as long as you're asking it from a place of love and acceptance and a willingness to learn. Then we genuinely don't mind answering. It's if you're asking just to be difficult or just to be obnoxious, then it becomes an issue. But most trans people I know have actually come to that point where if you ask, we'll answer you because we're actually just happy that you're being accepting. And that's the important point, I think, is that as long as you're coming at it from a place of love, then so are we. On a magical level, I noticed that when I started to use male pronouns and refer to myself in male terms, there was a definite shift in my energy. I noticed that I felt much calmer and that it felt much more peaceful when I was in ritual than it had previously. I believe it's because I feel much more comfortable in myself now that I'm presenting as male, and thusly not fighting an internal battle trying to feel a particular way that I can't feel because that's not who I am, As a druid, I work predominantly with the spirits and energies of nature, and I feel a connection to the landscape and my place within that landscape. Working magically as a transgender druid is not really so different from being cisgender and working with energy. I personally have never particularly attributed male or female attributes to the energies that I work with, so that hasn't really felt like needful to change, really. I think because I've always been very aware that I didn't feel any real connection to the body that I inhabit, I didn't particularly feel the need to attribute those male or female gender pronouns to the energies that I work with either. They just are what they are, and it's as simple as that for me, really. Obviously, again, that's very individual for other people, and that's absolutely fine too. It's very much, for me, Druidry is an extension of the energies that I feel within myself, but in the landscape that I inhabit, and working with those energies and connecting with them and the spirits of place and time. That's how I work magically. That's what resonates with me. And yeah, so I think I'm going to leave it there. If you've got any questions or anything you'd like to say or ask or anything like that, please just drop them in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. There is no question that's off limits. I absolutely won't take any offence, even if you word something badly. I'm happy to answer questions, because if no one answers, how can you possibly learn, you know? So go for it. Ask away and I will answer. You take care and blessed be. Bye.